Hi, I'm Dan Higgins from NJPSA. Thank you for tuning in to the third in a series of videos honoring the courageous leadership demonstrated by the members of the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association. For today's video, we asked our group of members to tell us a specific example of courageous leadership that they witnessed over the past 2 years. Their answers were enlightening.
Sure, I think our central office demonstrated the most courageous leadership that we had seen. You know, our superintendent is the face of the district. He's the one that, when you make a decision, it's judged by the community whether they think it's good or bad, and social media is not kind. So when we decide to go 100% remotely, it's him that's delivering that message, but we're all standing behind him, and I think that it was incredibly courageous.
The topics and the challenges and the conversations that today's building administrators are having with their staff, with their communities, with their students is so different than what I had to deal with as a young teacher. You know, I started teaching in the early 1990s, pre-Columbine, pre-George Floyd, pre-debates about protecting LGBTQ rights in schools. And now I watch today's administrators taking on these topics and confronting them and challenging students to think about them, challenging staff to reflect on them, challenging communities to face them. And I am blown away by how strongly they take on these topics.
We had a principal in the district who had a display in a common area of the school that some community members were not fond of, I guess, for lack of better words, and it came down to almost like a censorship situation between the board and the superintendent and the principal. And the courageous act was standing up at a board meeting and confronting it head on and putting it out there, and helping to define what is administrative prerogative in terms of displaying student work versus political interest or community input on what's appropriate or not.
My wife became a principal at an elementary school in December of 2019. So you could imagine she was in the job for a couple months, and then COVID hit, and she was still getting to know her staff, getting to know the people in the building, the students, the parents, and obviously when everything closed down, you're new, you're inexperienced, and you're just thrust into this. And the fact of how she got through it, and the fact that she was able to really hone in on the relationships, and I think it's helped her now that we're sort of moving past that. She has a much closer connection to her staff and her families because of that time.
The best example actually comes from my Leader to Leader mentor, who, when I was doing that program during this, was a principal at the time, and she just really made me feel really valued. She listened, she reached out constantly to see how I was doing, despite running her own building, her own challenges in the district that she was in. And in the middle of it all, she actually unfortunately lost her mother to COVID. And I watched her, despite such a hard personal challenge in her life, still be able to fulfill the role not just of principal so eloquently, but also mother and mentor, and just still be able to give of herself and really pull her staff and students through their own crises, and just seeing that really changed me as a leader.
So an example of courageous leadership that I've witnessed is through our instructional coach. She has been in our district for a while, but she really does an excellent job of pushing teachers forward in connection to their goals, giving and receiving feedback, which connects back to that definition.
All teachers for the last 24 months exhibited courageous leadership. And I think that it's important to make sure that we remind them of what they accomplished over the course of 24 months. Because COVID often gets the stage. The difficulties of staying in person often get the stage. But every day that teachers showed up and were working diligently to make sure that they were educating students showed courageous leadership.